Today we're talking about Big Daddy Kaido and all his kids. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, what do you mean Kaido and all his kids, he only has the one, then maybe you have not been paying enough attention to the story and everything Oda is trying to portray, all the things he's been building up before he gives us Kaido's backstory. Then stay tuned, because this was probably an important part to analyze before we get into Kaido's backstory. Now, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up, and if you're worried about spoilers, check the description below. But of course, we already know that Yamato is the child of Kaido, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. We've seen part of Kaido's character and everything that's been going on with him. But let's talk about the other kids of Kaido. Now, one of the most obvious ones, or rather the most obvious one after Yamato, I guess, is Jack. And I've talked about Jack and her and how I wanted interaction between Jack and Yamato, but it seems we're not going to get that. And I'm not too mad, because Kaido has more kids instead of just having the two, right? And Jack, being a kid of Kaido, considered a kid of Kaido for the most part because of how long he spent with Kaido. He's been with Kaido since he was at least 8 years old, possibly even earlier in his life than that. Now, of course, we don't know, how this relationship started, but they've been together that long, and we've seen how devoted Jack is to Kaido, and how Kaido kind of has a soft spot for Jack. And so it's not too far to say that Jack is Kaido's kid. Now, apart from that, we have the rest of the Tobiropo, except for X-Drake, who's kind of been an imposter the whole time. But yeah, the rest of the Tobiropo. Of course, we have Ulti and Page 1, who it's mentioned, I think, in the recent Viv record or SBS, I'm not quite sure. But, they mentioned that Kaido knew their father, and then after their father died, he took them in, so he actually did adopt these two. And it talks about how they've grown up in Onigashima since. They ate their devil fruits that they stole from Kaido, and now they kind of just work for Kaido, so it works out in the end. But apart from that, I do want to go on a slight tangent and say that I'm pretty sure that it won't be a surprise if their father was a character or a person on the Rock's pirate crew. Now, who could it be? There's two options really for me. It's either Captain John or Rox himself, right? Rox himself, going further into that aspect of there being a strong relationship between the apprentice pirate and the captain of the pirate crew. And so if you have Ulti and Page 1 as Rox's kids, that further, deepens that relationship that we'll probably get when we finally get the flashback. Now, on the other hand, if you still want, someone like Shanks to be Rox's kid instead, that's okay, because we can have them be the children of Captain John, because at some point I do feel like we'll get a bit more on Captain John because of just how much Buggy is attached to the guy. And really Captain John, because when we saw his skeleton in Thriller Bark, it had purple hair, which seems to be Ulti and Page 1's hair color. So Page 1 and Ulti somewhat being, not somewhat, but more than likely being a child of someone on the Rock's pirate crew, who Kaido did have some kind of relationship. And again, we'll see that. These are seeds that have been sown. Oda's been sowing these seeds slowly so that when, the flashback comes, you're aware. Anyway, then we have all Sasuke and who are termed in the recent Viv records as problem children of the Tobiropo. I know problem children could just mean that they're just, troublemakers. But taking into context that the Tobiropo for the most part are the children of Kaido, then it just goes along with that theme to say that, they're also more or less adopted children of Kaido, and they're the troublemakers of the group. And then you have Black Maria, and the biggest thing about Black Maria is that for a long time we were wondering, where is is Black Maria Yamato's mom? The horns, what's going on there? But now we found out that, she can't be Yamato's mom because she's only 1 year older. She's 29 years old, but she's from Wano, right? And the fact that she's 29 means that for the most part, she's grown up with Kaido in Onigashima, right? Even before she was probably even 4 years old or less than that, right? She's grown up with Kaido in Onigashima, not Onigashima necessarily, but in Wano. And at some point moved to Onigashima. Now, unless we find out that she actually left Wano and then came back later on in her life, for the most part, we can assume that she's been in Wano with the Beast Pirates, and then at some point Onigashima as well. So more or less Kaido's daughter at the same time. Right, now we have all these, now we've got these, 6, 7 children of Kaido, including Yamato. And really, when you look at all of them, I feel like you can see part of what makes up Kaido's character. Because when you look at Alti and page 1, you really see the Rock's connection and everything going on there with Kaido's, how he feels about, the Rock's pirate crew and what life was like back then, how great those people were in Kaido's eyes. And then you look at people like, maybe Who's Who and Sasaki as upcoming pirates who don't try to let anything stand in the way. They're problem children. They go blowing their own horn, and something similar with Jack, in which they're not afraid to take anyone on. They kind of remind him of himself, right? Something we'll probably see of Kaido back when he's younger, kind of as an upcoming pirate in his life. And then you have the aspect of Yamato, Jack, and Black Maria, and this is potentially, that these three are connected like this and having the blood of Onis. Now, we don't know why exactly Black Maria is the way she is, or we don't know why Jack is the way he is. We don't know if those horns are real or not. I think that's not confirmed for Jack. But for the three of them potentially having the blood of Onis, and that being something Kaido recently brought up in chapter 1025, when he mentioned to Yamato that, look, people will fear you because you're an Oni. You have all this power in you, and people will fear you for that. And you need to rule others with strength. And not, don't play nice with people, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you, right? That's how life is. And you can see that aspect of Kaido in those children. Now, it is a question as to why, you'd have, 6 of his children literally willing to die for him, willing to follow him to the ends of the world. And then you have one child, which is just like, I kind of hate the guy. And I think that's mainly due to the fact that Yamato is the blood child of Kaido, and Yamato has Conqueror's Haki at the same time, right? So Yamato being the blood child, probably having the most Oni blood in her, flowing through her veins. Unlike maybe someone like Black Maria and Jack, who may have more diluted blood, but that's more speculatory. Anyway, also the Conqueror's Haki aspect, because that further, solidifies this whole argument of the fact that people will fear the Oni blood and the strength of Yamato, and that will make her life difficult. Kaido kind of reminds me of, and excuse me for these spoilers for My Hero, if you're not caught up to at least where the anime has recently ended, season 5, then you might want to skip a bit ahead, about 30 seconds. But in My Hero, recently seeing Shigaraki Tomura's backstory and how he became who he was, he kind of reminds me, Kaido is kind of acting like his father, and that's in the sense that his father, due to his growing up and his relationship with having a hero as a family member, realized how terrible of an experience that was, and thus he didn't want any of his family to be associated, and raised them in a way in which he can avoid that. They can avoid that as a family. But in doing so, he was a bad father and kind of put Shigaraki on, the path to becoming who he is now. And Kaido is kind of the same thing, right? He's talked about how, he's hinted rather about how bad life is as an Oni and how hard it is to really form connections. And to kind of save Yamato and prepare her for the real world, he's kind of been a bad father, really, because while trying to do a good thing, he's basically pushed Yamato away, right? It's trying to justify the ends by the means, so to say. Or really losing the forest for the trees. I think that's a better one to say. But anyway, point of this video is go home. I guess you're at home. If you're not home, then go home. At the end of the day, the take-home message is, when you look at each of these characters we've talked about and just looked at what they have in common, you see parts of Kaido's character which Oda's been hinting at and will probably flesh out when he finally gets into Kaido's backstory. The Rock's relationships, Kaido's character as a person, the Oni blood, the Conqueror's spirit, the connection to the land of Wano. All these little things will probably be fleshed out, and you can probably look into them to see other interactions as within the characters. Of course, the Tobiropo have gone down, but probably after Wano, maybe what will happen between them, how will things shake out. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. Please like this video if you like the video, subscribe for more content like this. If you know someone who needs to hear the truth, share this video with them. If you have time, watch one of my other videos, and if not, thank you for watching this video thus far, guys. This is King KZ, and I'll see you in the next one.